Okay, we are at go2math.com. We're working on calculus and looking at infinite limits. And it says evaluate the limit. So this is called a right hand limit. We got this little plus sign right here. We got the limit as x approaches 0 from the right of 8 over x squared. So let's move over to the whiteboard and write this one out. Let's change color. I've been liking blue lately. We've got the limit as x approaches 0 from the right of 8 over x squared. And okay, let's just talk about this, evaluating this numerically. If we're coming in from 0 at the right, let's say, for example, our function, we'll just call it f of x. Right, if we're coming in, and let me draw a number line over here. We'll put 0 here on the number line. So if we're coming in from the right-hand side approaching 0 from the right, we can use a let's say small number, something close to 0 like 0.1. Now this is like evaluating the limit numerically if you worked any of those problems in that section. And then 0.01 and get that number. Of course, I don't ever really work this stuff out, but you can put this in the calculator and get it. I know where it's going. Okay, and then right 0.001, 0.00001. Okay, so you can get an idea of what's happening to f here when you do that. We could also get an idea of what this graph looks like. Okay, the basic graph you should know is if you graphed 1 over x out, this is the basic one you need to know. Okay, because this graph is a whole lot like this one when we graph this one out, except we notice that the bottom is growing a little faster because it's squared, and we also know that this thing's going to be always positive no matter what value you plug in for x. So in other words, obviously if we plug in a positive value, right, you're going to get a positive value out. So this is the right hand side of the graph, and really this is all we're interested in because it's coming in from 0 from the right hand side. However, I'm going to go ahead and sketch out what the left hand side of the graph looks like over here in quadrant 2. Okay, it's going to be looking something like that. Whereas you can see the vertical asymptote is the y-axis. Alright, vertical asymptote is x equals 0. And the reason that this graph is over here and not down here, that's what this function here would look like. You'd have the graph down here, is because obviously if you took a negative number and you plugged it in down here and squared it, it's going to be positive. Alright, I think I already said that. But remember, we're talking about this limit. We're coming in from this direction here. So we're taking numbers, as you can see here, like 0.1, we're plugging it in and we're getting a y value out. Then we're taking another number that's closer, okay, and we're looking at that y value, and so forth. And as we get closer and closer to 0 from the right hand side, what's happening to y? Well, it's heading off to infinity is where it's heading off to. And that's exactly what we're going to say. It's going to infinity, and this tells us the behavior of the graph here. Alright, so I have to always say this, right? This is equal to a real number. However, we can say this. Now, this is not a real number, okay? We can say this, that this is equal to infinity, and what we're saying here is look, this is what the behavior of the graph is doing, okay? So let's keep that in mind. Right, so you want to make that discussion with your instructor. Hey, does this really equal infinity? But